I have so many different plants and other types of buildings that I want to do in my forever world, but I don't want them all to be in one spot. So I've been wanting to branch out and make my world more alive and lived in, which is why I've been planning to build a train station. But then the question comes, what does a Japanese train station look like? Where should I put it? And how will everything function in my city that feels alive and lived in? So in today's video, we'll be solving that problem block by block. Hello, welcome everybody. My name is Dai, and welcome to my forever world. And in today's video, we'll be extending my Japanese town's dock all the way to that section right there. And we're also going to be building a train station up here so we can travel around the city much more easier, and maybe also connect it to a different city in the future. But for now, let's cut down some trees so we can make space for the expansion. Ooh, this is perfect timing actually. I actually need a few of them for decoration. So let's try and get them instead of a boat. I always carry a boat now with me because I know something like this would happen. So let's just trap at least one of them up here. Will they actually come here? Who here wants a job, huh? Oh my god, they swim so slow. Maybe let's help them out. Let's put like a block somewhere here. Alright, that should be okay for now. Now let's just despawn the rest of them by just like flying away. There we go. Okay, you should just stay right there for now. I gotta do some talking bit for the video. Hey, play nice. Okay, so we pretty much cleared out the space right here. This is gonna be enough for the expansion of the dock. We're just gonna be building it out until that section right there, and then eventually we're gonna connect it all the way to that rock right there. So this is gonna be a huge dock that's gonna wrap around this whole beachside section right here. And I think it makes a lot of sense because people back then really liked to live near the water. First, because it has access to food, and then people used to travel by boats quite a lot, and it's also good for farming, right? So it makes a lot of sense for the shorelines to be fully developed. Also, I don't know if you guys know, but the sheep has been here for like weeks now. Like I didn't even know that, but I remember adding him into one of the cinematics when I was building up this dock, and he's still here. So I think we should build something for him eventually, but you know, let's just keep him here. That's just funny. But also to talk more about this dock right here. So we're basically going to be breaking these few railings right here because we're going to start the dock right about here, I think. And then it'll go out this way and follow the shoreline. And I would like to talk more about the block palette, but basically we're just mimicking the same thing that we have right here. And yeah, that's the whole flooring for the whole town basically. So let's start building. Alright, we're done with the expansion here. I can already imagine all the buildings that would go here, like small tiny houses just like this all around. It's gonna look so good. So I was trying to plan out my world a bit better because it's gonna be harder for me if I just like trying to go to plan out the world. If I just make one build at a time without really planning out the whole space of the town. So I've kind of planned out what I'm gonna do in the future as well, right? As you can see right there, that's gonna be the start of the train station. And then right here is gonna be housing and housing all around it. And yeah, just like making these mental notes in my head of where things are gonna go in the future. It kind of helps me map out of what makes sense as a realistic city layout. But yeah, like I was saying before, you can already tell where the start of the train station is gonna go. And I've decided to create the train station on a different height than what we have down there. Not only to follow the terrain that we have right here where it kind of slopes upwards. So that way I don't have to like, you know, mow down a whole mountain just to make space for this train station. But also, if we look around right here a bit, if I were to make a train station like on this level right here, I would have to like clear out this whole land so I could build the railway all the way to that side, right? So same goes for this side right here, right? If I want to make it right about here, that means I'd have to clear out all of this dirt right here and then curve it to the right like so, which is going to be a lot of terraforming work. And to make it look realistic, I'd have to clear out all of the space behind it as well, which isn't ideal at all, obviously. So what I decided was to build the train station up here. And I've also realized that no one really builds a train station up in the air like this, like on a hill. You know, this is a compromise between being realistic at the same time, you know, trying to conform with the space that I have, you know, because what I like to do is not to like make my own terrain fully, but also to work with the terrain that I've got, right? Like as you can see right here at the dockside area, we have this natural terrain all the way up here. We're not going to be removing that. We're gonna be working with what we got and working with what we have and build stuff on that level. But sometimes it still makes sense for us to mow it down and flatten the whole area for the space that I need. But in this case specifically, I think the best way to go about it is just to build it up here. That also works for the city as well, because that means we'd have buildings down here and buildings at the top as well, making it look more realistic like a real city and, you know, make it more lively. So let's start by making these stairs going all the way up there and start clearing up the forest that we have back here. So let's get it. Yo, the world feels so much more alive now. Look at this. Imagine all of this going all the way to that side with lots of building on top right here. And we have these trees at the back. Ooh, that's really annoying. Let me just remove that real quick. Okay, that's so much better now. Now heading back to the train station right here, you can kind of see I already outlined the place where the train station is gonna go. So this place right here is where the main building is gonna be. And then the tracks are gonna be right behind right there. I do want to show you guys the view right here. Imagine once all of this is like built out properly, the view right here would be insane, especially when I do make a custom mountain to fill this gap right here, which is kind of weird. World generation terrain right here, it's not as good as it could be. So once we build out the stock right here, build out the mountain, it's gonna look so much better. And this section right here is gonna be more housing and more shops. So we're gonna have like two-tiered level on the side of the town, which is gonna be an interesting view and architecture. I don't think I've ever seen like a reference where a town is built this way. So this is gonna be a challenge for me to design, but it's gonna be a fun challenge. But yeah, we also have these lampposts. The reason that I have only put it up here is because I'm not too sure how the layout of the whole town is gonna be right now. So what I know for sure is these lampposts are gonna be permanent. So I place them down first, and then once I have a better idea of what's gonna go down here, and then I can start placing all of the detail works later on, which is also why these stone walls right here are not really decorated properly. I usually would like have textures on them, but since you won't be able to see them when I place buildings right in front of them, I decided to just leave them be for now. But when it comes to building the main train station, it was really hard for me to come up with a design that's unique and makes sense in the era that I'm trying to create here. So there was a lot of planning involved. When trying to build a world that's immersive, you need design languages that people can relate to, something that people can understand just by looking at it. Although Minecraft World comes with limitation and its own challenges, like having to build a train station on a hill, these creative liberties can be a good thing, where the world that I'm creating here is its own thing. So there's always a balance that we need to strike when trying to make something that people can resonate while also combining it with a gamey make-believe aspect of designing. So understanding the layout that we are dealt with, I went on the internet to look for a train station building that was built in the same era that I'm trying to loosely depict in my Forever world. Since there is a language barrier, scouring through the internet can be pretty hard, but I did manage to find this image. The former Taisha station. It was built back in 1912 during Japan's colonialism era, which is heavily frowned upon, for good reasons of course, and it was operational up until 1990, and now it stood still as a heritage building in the town of Izumo. This is the perfect reference for what I'm trying to build. It has a similar design elements to what I have made in my world, and the historical context also helps me pave the way for the lore of the build and the city. Okay, let's just imagine for a sec, right? Let's say that all of this area is built out and we're walking down this path, seeing all these Japanese houses, this factory right here, and then at the corner of our eyes, you can see this train station all the way up there. Doesn't that look good? So I think these trees are blocking the view a bit, but if I do put a few more around the area later on, it's gonna blend in the area a bit better, and you know, it gives the area a bit more greenery, especially once we built out this area right here at the back. This tree won't stick out as much. So yeah, this part right here still feels a bit empty because we haven't fully built out, but if we head up here, you can kind of see that when you're walking up these stairs, you get this kind of like slow sneak peek of what is up here, and just kind of gives you like a grand reveal as well. And here, the train station that's based on a real life train station, it utilized a lot of these shelves because they do add a lot of detail, like a trimming at the bottom right here. It gives it a bit more color to the build. It might look a bit messy when you see it up close, but when you see it at a distance, it works really well. It gives that separation and detail that these builds need sometimes, and it just brings everything more to life. You know, it makes everything more realistic, which is what I'm trying to do here. And I was struggling on what to put here. Like, you know, it's kind of weird in a realistic setting that people can just like go into the train station through like a side entrance, so I have to put like a fence or something here that I need to figure out. But let me show you the view of the tracks right here. If we head up here, we can see the tracks are completely built out, at least the idea. So this is basically like a proof of concept where hopefully if you guys do like it, and if I do like it, you know, we're gonna be making this type of tracks all the way out there and all the way out that way, right? So these pressure plates are supposed to simulate the yellow tapes that stations have to make you stay behind it. And we have these benches right here. We have a way to cross to the other side through here, although it's not really safe, but that's just how it is with older stations, right? There's like less regulations, and yeah, as much of a safety hazard as it is, this is how people used to live back then. So a building trick that I learned in this video is that you can use these bookcase as a decorative door, right? Because if you make a pattern like this, it kind of looks like those decorations on doors, which is really interesting that it works this way. It's really neat. And I also did it back here. You can see how I try to make it a different type of pattern, which is really cool. And right here, I've used this trick before, but I try to include the Japanese writing at the front, which I know it's not translated into train station, but you know, I gotta compromise here because, you know, these texts are really hard to write. So I try to make it as realistic as possible, but sometimes with the limitation of the game, it's a bit harder. And you might be wondering what this tiny thing right here is, right? It's technically a 3.5 character right here because this is supposed to be she. In order to make it a sha word, you have to include she plus the word yeah. That's how Japanese is. I know it's a bit confusing if you have no no basic understanding of how it works. But yeah, I thought it would be interesting to let you guys know what the writing is actually supposed to be. So let me just try and type it down. That's how it's supposed to look like right here. And this is de, this is n, and this is shi and ya, so densha. So I do want to explain better the layout of the city. So this is a good opportunity for us to take Appa out for a ride. So if you guys missed the last episode, I basically turned my happy gas into Appa right here. And now we have a real life Appa, which we can ride, which is so much cooler and so much more immersive. So let's go up and show you guys the aerial view. One thing that I noticed is that having the Appa resource pack right here, it really restricts my view of what I can see. So maybe doing it in third person is best, like so. So as you can see right there, the trees at the back really adds a lot of life to the building because it kind of gives like a background element to it, right? And we can probably stop right here and I can show you guys the plans for the future. As you can see right here, the walls are kind of curving in this way, right? And then it curves in this way as well. So eventually we're going to be putting stairs going upwards and connecting this all the way here. So it's like a upper section of the town. Same goes for this one right here. We're going to connect it all the way around to basically cover this whole area with concrete. Naturally, cities eventually evolve this way where they envelop the land that is under it and then turn it into concrete to basically help people traverse it better. So that's the whole idea of what we're going to be doing with this whole section. And I do want to show you guys the plans for the train tracks. So let's fly up a bit closer. Alright, as you can see right here, the train tracks go all the way there. This side right here is pretty much good. Like it can just go straight this way and then I can make a platform for a train tracks, like a bridge kind of thing going all the way that way. But for this side right here, we're met with a wall basically because I do want it to go this way and into the right side, which goes all the way across into town. That way it's more like a scenic view, right? So people on this right side of the town can see the train tracks as well and maybe have a station there as well. And that makes it hard for me to plan out what to do here. So my goal right now is to find a way to connect these train tracks from here all the way to that section of the town right there, which is gonna be a challenge for sure. But yeah, if you guys do have any suggestion, I'd like to hear it. Now with everything built out, it's time for us to build the interiors of the train station. And as always, we want it to have a function, right? We don't want it to just look pretty. We want the tracks to have a function where we can ride it all the way from one town to another. But the train station also has to have a purpose, and that's going to be super exciting to build. So let's start doing that. Okay, now that we have the floors and the ceiling figured out, we can start with the interior decoration here. We're not going to be doing the whole interior, but yeah, that's going to take a little bit more planning. I haven't figured out what to do with the rest of the space, but we're going to make the ticket booth right here in the middle. As you can see, I already outlined what's going to be inside here. And as you might have guessed from the honey blocks, yes, there are villagers involved. So let's just get started with the planning of this. I think we should do the candles on the side and then the chandelier. So let's climb up here. When trying to figure out lighting to make it look more realistic, that was a big challenge for me since most of the lights in this game, they honestly don't look that good in my opinion, like aesthetic wise, or it's not really the aesthetic that I'm trying to go for. So I always try to find creative ways of lighting my space. Like I feel like the best vanilla lighting has to be the lanterns, but they're also very situational in my opinion. Like most of the times they only look good on ceilings or like on top of tables, so I use them very sparingly. But these custom heads, especially these ones that I've been using, these lamps, they add so much detail and life to the builds, which is why I've been using them quite a lot. And even though they don't really emit light, I put glowstones on top of these composters. Luckily, they're all see-through blocks where the light still goes through them, which is really great. So let me just place these trapdoors down. And right here in the middle, we're gonna put a chain, 2 of them, and then into a fence like so. And then we can start putting our heads here all around this fence post to create a chandelier. I can't be bothered to get some more scaffolding, so we're just gonna use some blocks. Why are the scaffolding so finicky? Like I can't crouch jump on it, which is interesting. So let's place one more on this side and we're good. And then to top it off, let's place some trapdoors like so. Here we go. Perfect. We can just break the rest of them because I think we're done with this upper floor. All right, that's looking good so far. Now we want to start making the ticket booth in the middle. Let's start by placing these blocks all around like so. Okay, and we want to leave that bottom part open, so I'm gonna do that later. And we want to go all around here, and then let's put some shelves at the front to give it a bit more detail. That, and put some more of them right here. And there we go. Do the same thing on the other side. Now, it's a real big challenge when it comes to designing interiors like this. Like, you gotta try and pack as much details as possible here, because it is pretty tricky to make a boot that looks like a boot in this size especially. So you gotta do a lot of like make-believe, right, basically, and try to get the shape right. It's probably the best advice I have for people who's trying to build interiors, is to figure out the shape you're trying to go for, and then yeah, you basically go from there. It might be pretty hard for you guys to watch what I'm doing, so let me increase my brightness. I always play on 30%, but just to show you guys better what I'm doing, this could be better for the video. Now we're just gonna put the glass in the middle section, and the challenge when I was designing this is to make it functional, right? But also to make it symmetrical. So originally I wanted to have like another boot here, but with the blocks that we have, it's just not possible to do. So I just had to compromise and just to find a way to make it all make sense in this tiny space. Okay, so it's coming together. Basically, I'm trying to mimic what we have here on the other side. Now we're gonna put some more glass panes right here and connect it up with some more shelves. So that's really exciting. Now to do the sides here, we're gonna be placing some tinted glass. Then we're going to do it like this, and then put a full block at the top, and we can decorate it with some shelves, because if I use a glass pane here, it's basically not going to give that rounded shape that I'm trying to go for here, because the boot is a bit rounded, right? So a full block here makes sense. So that's what I'm trying to say when you need to kind of to include so many little techniques when you're doing interiors. There's like different ways of making these tiny spaces look good, and you just basically got to play around and figure out what makes the most sense. So let me just replace the top part right here with some spruce shelves, and I honestly don't know why I use these tinted glass, because they're really hard to make, but they do look cool here. Although I feel like a normal glass would also do here, like just a normal black glass. But yeah, I guess that's fine. I already made it anyway. Also, a lot of you guys have been asking me why I prefer to build with these full-faced woods. And the answer is pretty simple, is that I'm really lazy when it comes to these type of things. So I'd rather just have like one type of wood to work with rather than, you know, have to get something new every time. And I rarely need the cutout open wood face, the spirally part. So I just convert everything into the four faced one out of just like accessibility and for my own sanity of just like not carrying too much item. Because if you guys haven't noticed, I don't have a storage system that's like proper yet, which is really surprising considering that I've played in this world for like, I don't know how long at this point, like 3 years, but on and off, more like definitely more than 500 hours, so that's for sure. And I think it's better to lower this as well, like so, and then we can put some spruce wood inside to connect the glass. I think that's so much better. And for this side, let's put some tinted glass to make it look more encased. Same goes on the right side right here, and then we could put some dark oaks up there. Okay, I think we're pretty much done with the body of it. And the last thing that I would probably do is to put this lamps up here and maybe one here. Let's look at it from the front. Yeah, that looks good. So let's just mirror it on the right side right here. And now we need to do the roofing of it, which should be pretty simple, I'd say. I think the first thing that we need to do is to cover up the roof like so. And then, but this method is gonna leave a lot of gaps because we do have these shelves right here. So we'll figure that out when we get there. And I don't think people realize, I know I've said this before in a different video, how much effort an interior takes. Like a lot planning involved in these type of builds. I think what makes exterior relatively smoother, at least the process of it, is that you kind of know what you're trying to go for. But when it comes to interior, I feel like there's a lot of like trials and error, more so than exterior, I would say, because you know, when you make a mistake on a large build, like the outside of it, you don't really see the flaws, right? But if you make a mistake on an interior build, you know, your errors are like magnified just because of how small an interior is in comparison to an exterior, right? So you gotta place blocks with more thought and meaning behind them rather than, you know, I could slap like a bit more random gradient out there and you probably, you know, your eyes wouldn't look at it as much as if I do make a mistake on a smaller scale project, if that makes sense. So we're gonna be putting these brown candles to simulate ornaments because it is a governmental building. You know, want to deck out their building a bit and make it look fancy. And I think we did just that. But now we just want to put these blocks all around. So let me just do that real quick. Okay, that's looking good. Now we can do the interior of the space. The first thing we need to do is to carpet the ground here. So let's see. Okay, I have them. And we can just cover it up like so. To explain why we have honey here, so that when I do have villagers or any mob inside here, they won't be able to escape even though there's like a 1 block height right here. So that's always been my trick, to have a more realistic interior without having to block them off with a fence or a wall. So let's make the table where they're gonna work. So we're gonna put a cartographer table here because it is a train station. I think it makes sense to have a cartographer table. And we're gonna put one more leg like so. Then now we can put a temporary block and put candlestick right here, which is just a lightning rod. And then place some candles down here, light it up. Now we have a bit of lighting in here so it's not too dark. Okay, let's see what else we can put in here next. Let's put the shelves here at the back. And we want to leave this gap because I really like the view that we have at the back here. And now we can put this honey box here facing inwards like so. And then you can grab an item frame and some iron trap doors as a handle. Now the reason why I want to face it upwards is you can't really see it if it's facing downwards from here. So I think for detail's sake, it makes sense for the handle to face upwards like a filing cabinet. And then now we can put some books here just randomly to make it seem like they're busy and they got lots of paperwork. I feel like I really need to make a cow farm here. Let's sparse things up a bit. But I just realized as well is that I really need like an AFK fishing spot, because I also really need a lot of name tags, especially now that we're starting to put a lot of mobs in the area. So name tags are really good, so that way they won't despawn. And I think it's also good for immersion to have name tags for all the mobs here, so they have like a sort of like a personality, right? Now let's put some lanterns here for some more lighting. Let's place it here to balance out the lighting from here. Now we have one more to the side here. And let's put like a paper down here as well, just to add a bit more detail right there. And now we just want to fill the space up with the same type of block to finish up the roofing. Now we can top it all off with some trapdoors, so it's similar to what we have on the outside on the main building's roofing. Okay, the inside here is pretty much done. Now we can start with some more decoration like chairs all around the station. We can start right here and we can put the backrest on them. That's good. Let's do it on the other side. Perfect. Now the last thing we need to do is to put a couple of hoppers here. Let's see if I have them already. I'm gonna need more than that. And we can clear out our inventory a bit because it's getting pretty crowded here. Now we can put the hoppers going this way and here. I'm gonna tell you guys what I'm doing here in just a sec. I think it's much better if I just show you first. I think you're starting to see what I'm trying to do and cover it up with some carpet. Perfect, I think that works really well. Now we can cover it up with some trapdoors and just mimic it on the other side. Alright, we're pretty much done with the interior so far, at least what I've planned out. We're gonna be building out the rest of it in later video, but this is what we have so far. So now we just gotta put the workers down here and then we're done. So let's grab them. So early on in this video, we managed to capture one of them again, which is perfect. Now, all we have to do to break our crossbow is, how the heck is he shooting me from that angle? Is to just get in their boat and they basically can't shoot you now. And I'll just wait here until his crossbow breaks so we can use him as a prop. Okay, this is good. I already have the name tag for him. So the last video, the comment told me to name the librarian Kaneki, but I figured this would fit better on him as well because I can't wait for the next episode, because if I do break him out of the boat, he's gonna despawn if I do go away from him. So let's name him now and drag him all the way up there. Okay, he's here. Perfect. But now we just have to do it one more time. Okay, we got them both in here. So I named the other one Yuto. It was a suggestion from someone on my Discord. I asked him to help me pick a name. So if you guys do want to help me coming up with names, you can head over to my Discord server. All right, look at that. Everything's looking great now. I just wish that they're more to the front of the booth, but I mean, I like them roaming around. It's much more immersive. So with everything being done, I think the only thing to do now is to demonstrate the new train station. And what better way to do that than a safety video? Let's roll the tape. Welcome to station. Please pay attention to the following safety instruction. Please purchase your ticket at the designated booth. Be sure to grab your minecart before you head into the platform. Make sure that you stand behind the yellow line to avoid any human casualties. Animals and pet transportation are strictly prohibited. Please pay attention to your children and be on the lookout for incoming traffic. Nothing should be blocking the aisle or exit. Once you have reached your station, please collect your minecart and return them to the bin. Please look at the safety instruction card in your seat for further information. If you require any assistance or have any questions, please contact. Have a safe journey. Pretty cool, huh? I'm pretty proud of myself if I have to say so myself. But yeah, let me show you again what the space here is. So basically, we have this button right here. We just press it. There we go. And that should dispense the minecart. And there's like a delay because I'm not a redstoner. So, I had to figure out how to do it. And, I didn't know how to do it properly. So this is the workaround that I have. If you guys do have any suggestion on how to streamline this better, let me know. But this works for now. And we just head over here, take the minecart, and basically we can plop it down here. And once the tracks are built out properly, we can use it to go that way or this way, depending on the button you click somewhere. I'll make it work once we get to it. But yeah, this is a train station and we'll develop it further on the next episode, but I feel like this is a good point to stop. But yeah, once we're done with the minecart, we just put it back here in the trash bin and it should refill the station and make everything really seamless and lived in, like there's like a purpose to the space, which is super amazing. So as usual, we have a tradition of reading the comment of the day. Now I'm rebranding it to dialogue. So Mr. Luping said, you could name the sky bison Fujin after the Japanese god of wind. They share a similar origin. Fujin is the source of wind, and sky bison are the origin of the airbending. I actually did not know that the sky bisons are the origin for airbending. I haven't caught up on Korra. I'm assuming that's introduced in Korra. But yeah, that's like a really cool name and well thought out. I really like names that have meanings like that, which is why the past few names, like the chefs that we put in the teppanyaki, they're like real brothers in real life who owns a restaurant. And this one right here, and yeah, so like having these names that have a deeper meaning to it really resonate with me much stronger. So thank you for that. So let's head over here and name our bison Fujin. There we go. Let's take him for a ride while we close out the video. Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you so much everyone for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I want to say thank you to everyone who's been with me throughout this whole journey. It's been a very, very rewarding and fun journey making videos every week. It's been a pleasure of mine, and I hope I entertain and, you know, be a small part of your day. It's truly an honor for me. And with that being said, I hope I see you next week, and I hope you learned something from my videos. I'll see you next week. Take care now.